Any further query relating to this same topic or other topics? Or we can rest here, chant and sing Hare Krishna Maha Mantram, holy names, and then enjoy prasadam. Okay. First of all, you ask everyone, take the majority opinion, whether we should be continuing further or we may rest here. Ask everyone, majority opinion.
I have just short question.
1, 2. If the majority of... Okay. So which question should I take first? He raised the finger first. He? Okay, yes, please.
When you mentioned the wealthy Hindus who are giving the donations, sometimes I really try to get into their mind to see their motivations. If you give percentage, that is just material motive, that they want to have a good life in the next lifetime. Or if they want to, as you suggested, have some spiritual advancement. If you give percentage, it will be like 90-10, 50-50, 90 and 99-1. Which percentage would you give?
Yeah, true. What you are saying is very true. Sometimes those businessmen also become calculative, but something they strongly believe in, that they'll get some return. Because for this donation in the service of Lord, in return they'll get some return in the form of blessings. They'll receive some blessings.
So sometimes I feel they don't want to make advancement. They want to stay forever healthy and successful in material life.
True. Maybe sometimes they are trying to bribe the Supreme Lord, giving some bribe. I am giving this much in your service, so let me continue nicely, successfully. True. That is called Sakama Bhakti. So even if they have that motive, material motive, that they are donating this much, this percentage in the service of Lord, not to make true advancement in their devotional life of service, but to receive more material facilities and advantage, okay, by acquiring some spiritual merits, punnam, okay, but still that such of their efforts cannot be totally devoid of respects and some underlying feelings of devotion in their heart in relation to the Lord, because they are, in some way you have to understand, they are serious. They are taking it seriously. They might not have given that donation because it's hard-earned money for them. They are making so much sacrifice, investing so much time, energy to earn that. Not easy, always not so easy for them. Or they can spend for their own enjoyment. But because they have true belief, because they truly believe, have true faith in the service of Lord, that I will be blessed by that. So there is some underlying flow of devotion in a potential form, more like not so, it is not so, how to say, prominent form, not at all prominent form, but there is some invisible underlying flow of respect and devotion in relation to the Lord is there.
So you don't think it's 100% calculative material?
No, because they are giving to worship Lord. In this service, that is their motive. They have some service mode, okay? Unless they try to avoid giving tax to the government, paying tax to the government, better thing, why should I be paying tax to the government? Better I give in temples, welfare work, I will receive some virtue. Instead, if I give to the government, I will not be receiving any virtue or spiritual merits. But while I am offering the same, what I am supposed to give to the government, offering the same in the service of Lord, I will be receiving some more piety and virtues, spiritual merits. So they may be calculative in that way also. Then it is more material type. They didn't want to give that donation in the first place, but just to avoid the giving in tax, they choose it's a better option. That is a different case. But those who are donating in the service of Lord, for the cause of the service to the Lord, without those any motives of avoiding taxes or anything, they really mean it. But they are not yet truly devotee. They do not have pure motivation, devotional motives. Pure devotional motive, anything. They are material people. Okay. Then still that will not completely go in vain. That will not be considered like useless, worthless, because it comes under the category of Sakama Bhakti. What Lord Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita, there are two categories of the bhakti. On the very primary initial level, Kanishta Adhikara, neophyte level, the type of bhakti we find in many material people is Sakama Bhakti. A bhakti which is motivated by their own material desires. The bhakti they show to the Lord, offer to the Lord, very much motivated by some wanting, some material wants, material gains. If they do bhakti to the Lord, if they show bhakti to the Lord, they will also have more material gains. And then they consider also blessings of the Lord. Consider, I am devotee of the Lord, therefore Lord is blessing me and awarding me many material things. That's the way they take it. It's a sign of blessings of the Lord, giving so much wealth, giving so much riches. My Lord is so pleased. I respect you, my Lord. I am your devotee, my Lord. They have some sentiments like that. But say materially motivated sentiments, not unconditional. Materially conditioned. But still, that is not totally denied like no bhakti. It is a kind of bhakti so much mixed and motivated with material desires, with the desires of material gain, not pure bhakti at all. It's called the primary level of Sakama Bhakti. And then on the higher stage it comes on the level of Nishkama Bhakti, where devoting to the Lord for devotion's sake, loving Lord for loving Him. No other conditions. Loving Him, for loving sake. I am devoting myself to you, to be devoted to you, my Lord. Then it's up to you how you will take care of me, how you will be protecting me. It's up to you. There is more Niskama Bhakti, going towards Ananya Bhakti, exclusive devotion. Okay? Yes. What's your question?
Yeah, I have one simple question about function of karma. But I need to explain it with some sentences. I will try in English. How I understand the function of karma, that if we do something wrong, it's risky that in next life we will take some lower body. For example, some dog or cat, and if we will do worse karma, it can be even lower bodies like insect or invisible beings. And so now, if I start calculate it, so people in this earth, I don't know how is it in another earth, but people here is about 8 billions. 8 billions people live now on our earth. The 8 billions people every year kills about 60 billions animals. And if you look on the beings in invisible bodies or insect, we can't calculate how much are they. So there I see some disbalance because making karma is only in human bodies or in bodies of the residents of heaven planets. Yeah? And there is, you know, mathematically it doesn't give sense. Yeah? If only in this room is maybe it's green room, yeah, it should be very green here, but the invisible beings is here maybe more than it's all people on the our edge. So where come that so much bad karma, you know, for the fact that he is so much so love beings, yeah, beings in so low.
Good question. Good question. See, although you are saying you have got a simple question, it's not a simple question, and the nature of the answer to such question is not simple type. Nature of answer to such question will be very sophisticated type. You know. First of all, please try to understand. Okay, in the very beginning, basically you must try to understand the two categories of the karma. One is individual, another collective. Okay, individual karma or collective karma. Individual karma, environmental karma. Now, both are interrelated, interconnected with each other. Okay, because individual is also a part of the collectivity, and all the collectivity is actually consisting many individuals and taking the form of collectivity. Clear? So individual cannot be without collectivity, collective nature. Collective also cannot be existing, can be created without individual being. So they are interrelated. Okay, they are interrelated, inseparably interrelated with each other. Now, as each and every individual human being, each and every individual entity, jiva soul, has got one's individual karma. On the other hand, other human beings also have their individual karma. So when all the individual karmas are coming together, the effects of many individual karmas are coming together into its collective nature. It becomes collective karma. So that affects the community. Okay, community. One's karma also affects the other individual. Your karma will be affecting me. My karma also affecting you when we are living together. It just happens by nature of relationship. While we are sharing the environment, community, it's called community influence. It happens. We easily understand that. Now, individual karma also being paid. In other words, the individual, how to say in English, each individual being also reaping the result of his or her own karma, individual karma, while also reaping the effects, results of the collective karma, both. Now, each and every bacteria or germ in this place, in this whole world, also they have individual entity. They also have the individual karma as well as collective karma. Now they have got collective karma in relation to their own category of the bacteria, viruses. They also have collective karma in relation to human beings. Human beings also have their collective karma related to those germs and viruses, because we often get attacked by them, affected by those germs and viruses, get sick, even we can die. So influential. Okay, their effect is so strong. Even the invisible virus and germs, bacteria, they take a big hold. See, we cannot fight them often. They take over our own body. sometimes mind also. Very powerful. So they are also enjoying their karma in relation to us. We are also reaping the result in relation to them. Now, according to mathematical calculations, if you follow the normal ways, normally limited ways of the calculative mathematical calculations, you cannot really calculate them. It doesn't work that way. The mathematics, the ways of the mathematical calculations in the world of the karma, very subtle, different kinds, different concepts, not of our digital concepts. Okay? So here it is only 10. How it can adjust with lakhs. Okay, how souls can be divided from one into so many. I tell you something. Sometimes you can hear the master computers are crashing. The Google technology or others. They have got big master computers which are taking care of the whole internet system, whole global internet system. See, sometimes they cannot bear the load. They crash or they fail. Then they have got backup system, all backup system to restore everything, the data and everything. Why I'm bringing up this example? This is an internet. Can you imagine? See, whole internet system can be mathematically calculated, isn't it? Yes. The way whole internet system is working can be mathematically calculated, but it is very, very sophisticated and too complicated. Can you imagine how the internet system is working all over the globe, even outside the range of the globe, through satellite system and all relating to? Okay. So many channels, so many connections, so many kinds of connections, different frequency are interrelated. They are one being. But in spite of being one being, one internet, they are all individual. Your message cannot be read by others. They have got privacy system, email system. What you are sending to other, only that person can read. Others cannot. So when you are phoning, only that person can hear, others cannot. It's an individual way, but although it is maintained individual way, but there are some controllers who can relate to everything, who are controlling the master computers, or who are sitting in the phone exchange. They can relate, they can hear all conversations, they can read all the messages. We cannot. Why I am giving this example? So although the whole internet system are related to each other, they have got individual channels and lines and space, like WebNet. Okay, this is actually one being, but still they have got private ways, individual ways. They don't mix with each other. They don't completely mix with each other. Then it would all be jumbled up. Jumbled up and anarchy wild. Okay. So individual is maintained. In the world of the karma, it's a big, huge internet. I give you the example. It's a universal internet. This internet is nothing. The human-created internet, what we find in this globe, all the world, is simply nothing. It's a dot compared to the internet of the law of karma, how it works. Can you imagine how you're going to calculate? Karmic effect from maybe hundreds of past lives before. Some effect is still coming, like the way scientists say, the light from a very, 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 very distant a light from a very, very distant star started traveling in the universe. That light has not reached this earth yet. The light started traveling from that star so distant that it started traveling lakhs, millions of years ago. Still, that light could not reach this earth. And what is the light speed? 186,000 miles per second. 186,000 kilometers, huh? No, kilometers. 186,000 miles per second. So, and scientists calculate by light years sometimes. So this very great distance they calculate, not by miles or months, light years. And still, can you imagine that light which has started traveling millions of years back has not reached yet? So what is the distance? It's difficult for the human brain to imagine the distance. Imagine distance. I mean, if we have to travel through plane or rocket to cover that distance, millions of our 100 years lives will be passed. Still we cannot cover that distance. Can you imagine? Similarly, the law of karma, it started, suppose some individual karma, action or reaction of the karma started millions and millions and millions years back for that jiva soul, past. Still maybe some part, some residue of that karma is still not completely consumed. Not consumed. Fructified. Something still remaining, although a lot of that already enjoyed, experienced, not enjoyed, okay, taken action, but still some residue is there, prarabdha karma. And many births, many karmas, karmic effects created through many births after that. So they are there. Now I am creating new karma in the present life. Also there's fresh effect there. Okay. Now, which karma, which karmic effect, from which birth, from which life, from which universe, which planet, now I have to take, it's very difficult to calculate. At some point, I tell you, in the world of the mathematical calculation, the mathematician also, all the great mathematicians also put a stop. They say, to the infinite, isn't it? This is just within the material concept of the mathematical calculation. At some point, the mathematicians, they just give up. They just give up, saying to the infinite, merging to the infinite. Okay? Whether on the side of plus, on the side of minus, in relation to the zero, between plus and minus, they simply give up, saying to the infinite, because they cannot go beyond it. Okay, they cannot below that, they cannot go below it, they cannot go beyond it. We can only calculate within a certain range. The concepts of the mathematical calculations, as it is understood by human brain, I repeat, the conception of all mathematical calculations as conceived by the limited capacity of the human brain is always limited within a certain range. It cannot go beyond or cannot go below. Okay? So how can you try to calculate, how can we try to calculate the internet system of the karma, universal karma, okay, from the time, started from the time immemorial, and is going on, it is flowing through the present to the future, to the eternity, time, space, and time, space, and the action all are flowing together in the eternity. It began from the beginningless time. I have to speak in an apparently self-contradictory way, paradoxing, but it's not paradox. It all began from the beginningless time, time immemorial. It got a beginning, but still it is so far, so distant, beyond the human calculations, beyond the human time calculations. It's just a time immemorial. And there will be no end of that. So it's an eternal flow of time, space, situation and action called. So mathematical calculation can only cover, only to a certain extent, according to our capacity. Okay? We cannot have the full-fledged mathematical calculations of innumerable numbers of every whole infinite. Cannot. Mathematical calculations cannot be applied to the infinite possibilities, innumerable aspects, prospects, potential ways promoted by the infinite energy. Okay? So, therefore, it is quite impossible to understand how these numbers of bacteria or viruses, why number of human beings are less by number, and the number of how the same soul can be divided into many bacteria and viruses, how one number can be multiplied. We can understand it happens. How it happens, why it happens, we cannot define through our calculations, because the very method, the very conceptual ways, very conceptual patterns and manners of our calculation is very limited. I give you an example. Suppose we understand, we cannot directly perceive, but we can imagine some way 1/100th, 1,000th of a second time point. Okay. If 1,000th of a second is possible, it's a fraction, minute fraction of the time. Very quick. It's so quick, so fast, so quick, we cannot even imagine. But mathematically, if 1/100th of second can be possible, a second can be divided to 1/100th, then it can also be divided into 1,000. It can even be divided into 1,000,000th and billionth and zillionth, mathematically. Why not? But can we imagine 1,000,000th of a second? Tell me, can we judge? No. We cannot even imagine what could be, what can be 1,000,000,000th and 1,000,000th of a second. We cannot even imagine as a time point. It is so fast, so quick. But there are some creations on certain dimension of life for whom our 1 second means 100 years. To them, they can conceive 1,000,000th of a second. It is relative. For example, like something, an ant, small ant is perceiving while moving through the floor, walking through the floor, perceiving so closely, smelling, searching food, all the pores of this floor, small holes, pores of the floor, big to the ant. But to us, can we perceive like an ant? An ant cannot perceive like us, like the way. And we also cannot perceive the way an ant or a bacteria is walking on the floor. Something too small to us is big to an ant. Because ant is too small. So something too small to us, that little space, too small for us, but ant is working in that space. It is big enough for that ant. Because ant is also small, so it is relating to a smaller dimension of the experience. Similarly, invisible virus and bacteria, they're so small, okay, so small. Like it was being said during the COVID time, ordinary mask is of no use. Because to block the COVID germs, ordinary mask of no use. Because ordinary mask has got big, it's like big doors for the COVID virus to go inside. It's too small, so small. Similarly, for the very small bacteria, the space they occupy is too big for them. They see, they feel, they have their family life, they live their life in such a small, minutest space and time concept. But for us, it is very minute, too small for us. But for them, it is good enough, big. So in this way, everything is relative. The concepts of time calculations, mathematical calculations, okay, the speed, everything so relative. So what is beyond our perception, below our perception, it is naturally perceived by other creatures, other lives of other dimensions. So now, back to the point, when we are basing our judgment, when we are trying to understand certain things based on our limited calculations, basing our judgment, trying to judge things based on our limited calculations, limited ability of perception, how can we expect that we will be understanding, finding out by number, mathematical calculations, why is happening such ways, how, why should not be? How can we? We have to say, merging to the infinite, period. Okay, to the infinite, period. That's why mathematicians also do, because they know they cannot find any end. Plus, bigger than the biggest, bigger than the biggest. That's what is described in the Holy Scriptures. Annantarastha paramanu chayantarastham ekapasho rachayitum jagadanda kotim kotishashesha vasudhadi vibhuti bhinnam andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. See, andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. Within the smaller world, smaller than that Onu, within the Onu there is Paramanu. Onu means molecule. Within the molecule there is atom. And Paramanu Chayantarastham. And within that atom, subatomic level. And Lord's energy even finer than that. That's how Lord Krishna's energy works. Okay, it works from the subtlest level, subtler than the subtlest. Can you imagine? There is no other language to express. There is no other language to express something infinite. So Krishna's energy works from the level finer than the finest, subtler than the subtlest, smaller than the smallest, and it works pervading bigger than the biggest. It can become bigger than the biggest, smaller than the smallest. How far mathematical calculation can go? How far mathematical calculation can go to digitalize, to calculate the number of the smaller than the smallest? Because there is no end. There is no end. It's endless this side, That's what the Arjuna experienced in Vishwarupa. When Krishna showed the universal form to Arjuna, at some point Arjuna discovered himself. Arjuna simply discovered himself in the middle somewhere of the whole infinite universal form of Krishna, and it has been stated, clearly explained in Bhagavad Gita, that no adi madhyantam ananta virjam. Arjuna was looking upward, no end. Could not find an end upward. Looking downward, no end. Looking sideways, no end. Left side, right side, upward, corner, downward, no end. He was finding himself like a tiniest dot in universal form of Krishna. And that's what is described. He started describing at some point, he clearly described, Noadi madhantam ananta virja. My Lord, I cannot find any end. I cannot find any end of you in any side, in any direction. Not only by space direction, not only space-wise concept, okay, not only space-wise concept, but by effulgence, effulgence-wise concept, by his power-wise, everything is infinite. Arjuna realized whether power-wise way, or space-wise way, time-wise, or experience-wise, he found it's just infinite. Infinite and infinite and infinite. And at some point, the great heroic personality like Arjuna started trembling. Sagadagadanga vita vita pranamya. The great heroic personality, fearless person, great fearless, noble, heroic person, very powerful person like Arjuna, started shaking in fear, trembling in fear before the infinite power. His heroic power meant nothing. His great heroic power, which could conquer 3 worlds, which could conquer big demons and all, was felt as nothing before that absolute infinite power manifested through universal form of Krishna. He started trembling. At some point he had to pray. Somehow he had to pray, humbly pray to the Supreme Lord, please withdraw it. I cannot take it anymore. I cannot, it's so powerful for me, I cannot take it. Kindly withdraw it and come back to your, beautiful, natural, beautiful, sweet form of my beloved friend as Krishna. I cannot take it, my Lord. Swagadagadanga vita vita pranamma. Why I am explaining all this? That's something you are asking. Answer you are asking about. It cannot be, this cannot come under any mathematical calculations. The universal, infinite, let me say another way, the universal internet system of the karma, I repeat, the universal internet system of the karma, of infinite nature, cannot be detected, understood through mathematical calculations, because there are so many relative dimensions of the experience of the mathematics, not just human dimension. That's why I gave the examples. Ants' dimension, bacteria's dimensions, human dimensions, demigods' dimensions. There are so many dimensions of our life in this universe. And I am not talking just only of this universe. When I say universe, means containing innumerable galaxies, So, something which is innumerable, which is characterized by infinite, unlimitedness, how can you try to understand through mathematical calculations? Something which is beyond. Okay? So, only absolute mind can figure it out. Only absolute mind with absolute infinite power can figure out, make the calculations. We cannot. If it would be possible, the scientist would not say to the infinite. In the process of making minus, dividing to the infinite. In the process of plus, adding, addition to the infinite. Okay. So, now back to the point. Question may arise, maybe your question is around that, how one human being, one jiva soul, okay, if the one jiva soul it takes birth of another species of life, he will be one only. So 8 billion means is equal to 8 billion, or just for example, say 100 billions, 1,000 billions, just for the sake of example. I don't say 1,000 billion people in the world, but just or 100 billion. So you mean if 100 billion people dying and then taking 100 billion lives, why there should be more lives? So why from 100 billions of from the 100 billions of human beings there can be so many zillions of bacteria or animals or water creatures. So if one is being transformed, if one is transmigrating into another species of life, there will be some balance in the number. Yes, there will be some proper system in the number. 100 human beings, 100 billion human beings is equal to 100 billion animals. Cannot be more than that, okay, because one soul. But answer to that. In the same human body, not one soul living. Many souls are living in our same human body. It's very mystical, very, very, very mystical and very mysterious truth to understand. Wonderfully mysterious truth to understand. In this body, we are thinking, it's our body. We are sole owner of this body. One soul. It is right, very true. In each body, in each of our body, in each of the human body, each personality, each individual. So one soul individual. Fine. But side by side in the same body, same human body or animal's body, there are many other creatures living inside. They also have individual souls. Mind it. Mind it. So, and even in the body of those bodies, some smaller bacteria is there. They also have individual souls because they are all individual entity, small. So, that's how it needs to be understood. If we calculate, I am one body, only with one soul. So if I become animal, I will become one animal only, 1:1, 2:2. It doesn't work that way because in the same body, not only one soul dwelling, so main soul I am, is my body, but in same body of mine is the universe for many other creatures. My body is a universe, dwelling place for many other creatures. Okay. so many bacteria, so many entities in our blood, in our flesh, in the bone, everywhere. Everywhere. Something we are rejecting from the body, there also. Many are living there. They also have individual soul, minute, because they are individual entity. So then, how many individual souls living within the same body, coexisting with our main soul? Can you imagine that? In this way, everywhere. In the animal's body also similar way. One tiger is equal to one soul. One individual soul is equal to one tiger. But in that tiger's body, so many bacteria and other insects are living inside. They all have individual souls. So, when this body is dying, not only I am getting transmigration, not only that my soul is having transmigration, how do you say in English? Transmigration. But also, so many other souls, were living in all other individual bodies of the insects, were dwelling inside my body, also receiving also getting transmigrations. So how about calculating their number? Some soul within a very small bacteria or creature, some insect, how do you say insect? It's not insect, maybe worms, that's it, worms. So, a jiva soul living within the tiny body of a worm, also getting transmigration, being transmigrated at some point, not only myself. So you are only calculating only me, 1:1. That's why you are thinking why human beings are so limited, number of human beings so small, why the creatures, the number of other creatures can be so many, no balance no balance in the process of transmigration, no balance in the numbers, because we are only considering about our own main individual soul, ignoring so many other jiva souls in so many other living entities, so many in number in one body. How about them? So they are also one jiva soul from one worm could be an animal, could be another worm in the next life, could be an animal also, by the nature of karma effect. We cannot calculate that. Why, how it happens, but it happens. So in this way, animals' number can be increased. Those animals can also be taking birth in the form of worms. So on the dimension of the worms level, they naturally give birth to many, not one or two. Giving birth to many worms. And in this way, so many jiva souls. So like from one blazing fire, you can collect so many fires, innumerable fires. Innumerable number of fire units can be taken from one fire unit. Although the fire is looking limited, one, but you can light so many candles. Cannot imagine how many number of candles you can light from one fire. Fire will not be extinguished, provided fueling is there. Although fire is looking like one small candle light, but from that small looking candle light, because it has got some infinite aspect of the source, you can light innumerable candles from the original candle. That's how it works. I am giving you some idea. We can have some idea through these examples how from one soul there can also be manifestation of many other jiva souls, very mystically, mysteriously. It's not always the case. One soul will always be staying as one soul only, like giving birth of the children. From the parents, so many children are coming. From those children, so many children are coming. Not one or two. Parents can give birth to many children, hundreds of children if they utilize properly. If they utilize their married life, their union properly, without wasting anything, then parents can become they can be parents of even 50, 60. In the 100 years in the 90 years of life, of course, within 50, 60 years they can be owner, birth giver of 40, 50 children. Not impossible. But only 2 parents. What is their mystical potency in the law of union, physical union, okay? In woman and man, they can give so many births of so many lives. But while they are wasted, rejected and wasted, so many births cannot come into existence because they are not being used. But actually, Supreme Lord has sanctioned so much potency of giving birth to so many lives in the male sperm and female ovum. How do you call ovum? But depending on, some are coming into the being, some are coming into the existence of life, and some cannot come. So, and it can be considered, each ovum, how do you say, during the ovulation, each egg and each sperm, individual life. Okay, they are living. Because they are living, therefore, because of their union, some, inception is happening. Conception of life is happening, because they are, in the beginning, they are 2 seed forms of the life. So many lives within us. So many lives are there in your body, in male body, female body, in the potential form, seed forms. If they are all planted nicely, they could give birth of so many lives instead of a few children. But, so, how, from which basis are we going to calculate? Which way you will be doing your mathematical calculation? Cannot be. Because everything is relative. All our system of calculations are dependent on relativeness. Which calculation is right on this relative platform, in this relative context, the same calculation cannot be right on another relative, while it is calculated or seen from another dimension. It won't be right. So even all our mathematical calculations within our limited capacity is only right according to our relative stand, certain relative stand. It is not right beyond that or below it. Not right on other dimensions of calculations. They have different calculations, different numbers. So, when I am not only one, I am many. When my being containing not only one individual being but many, that's how it has to be calculated also. How many ways you can calculate. What number? Impossible. We should simply know it's happening. Simply know this is the way it's happening, how it's happening, why it's happening, why it should not happen. No, we cannot. We cannot ask it. It's taken for granted. We have to accept the way it is. Just that, period. Just accept the way it is, sanctioned by the absolute power. We can ask, we can be curious about, to know about more, but we cannot finish knowing. We cannot fully comprehend what we are trying to do. It's impossible. We cannot fully comprehend this universal internet of laws of the karma, karmic action and reaction, You know, it is so vast, the infinite character. Our global internet system is nothing before it. Not even a dot. Can you imagine how big it is, how sophisticated it is? We cannot grasp. Complete? So much analysis to explain things thoroughly, because these are such things, if I don't explain thoroughly and analytically, conception will not be clear. There will be further confusion, will giving birth to further question.